So here is my entire Deadzone terrain collection out on the mat, all at the same time. This was made not only from the terrain in the original Deadzone game, but also a couple of expansions worth of pieces are in here as well. You can see plenty of buildings and accessories that I've constructed in such a way that they are pretty modular in the way they go together. We've got bridges and such that attach them all nicely in a variety of different ways depending on my mood. But if there's one thing you know if you've assembled Deadzone terrain, however much you've got is never enough. So, after casting an envious eye over plenty of other people's Deadzone tables, I decided there was only one thing for it. A giant piece of foam, which as you can see has already been marked out around the edges here, which I may revise at some point because I've been planning different ways that I'm going to go about this. However, you've probably seen lots of Deadzone tables that are quite three-dimensional rather than flat on one of the original mats. People build various trench systems and so on with this kind of foam. But my idea was to go a little bit subterranean, because that's something you don't see very often. It's difficult in a three-dimensional game to have multiple height layers that are completely covered. So what I thought was, well, one thing that wouldn't be too difficult is cutting off the edge of the foam and building a subterranean section only around the outside of the board. That shouldn't be too challenging at all. And to make that task a little bit more manageable, I've got one of these right here, Terrain Crate Ruined City. Now you'll probably see in the picture that this comes with a lot of wall pieces, and mostly I'm going to be using floor pieces for this, so I'll be able to expand it or make something else with the leftover foam and all the walls, because this is mainly going to be about floors. And you can see over here that I've already started laying out the floor tiles in the way that I'm planning to use them. So it goes all the way around the edge, and it's going to be raised up as well, of course, so it's level with the top of the foam, so people can walk all the way around the outside. And this area here is going to be heavily damaged, so I think I'm going to cut a bit off this tile here, so it's not 100% even, and creates one of the access points to the underground area. And over on these sides here, this piece, I think I'm going to cut out the X shape so that all models will be able to pass through it into the system, and on the other side here. So my plan is that one player would start on this side, like so, and then you would have the choice if you want to go down this side of the tunnel system, then you'll be pretty much covered until you get to the other end, or you could go down this side and be out in the open, or you could just stay on the top, because there's going to be pretty much a regular terrain setup on top of all this. So it just creates that extra element that you don't see in a lot of Deadzone games. I was thinking about whether I should make it multi-story, and I've decided for now, to start with, I'm just going to make one floor of underground area. And then if I want to build up onto that later on, I can, because I'm not going to stick anything down. I'm going to keep this outer frame separate from the foam, so that if then in the future I want to build up and make multiple layers, then I can easily do that and add on to the underneath of this top layer that I've made here. As you can see, I've got some of these pieces in the middle as well. These are going to be around about underneath as supports. I'll probably need a lot more to hold it all together than that, but this is just a start. And you can see here that I've started running out of floor pieces. So these that would ordinarily be considered walls, by me at least, they've gone in there for now, in the planning stage. I spent a long time sorting through all the pieces I've got, because not only did I have that Ruined City set, but I also had various pieces left over from previous sets, and a ton of accessories, so I've sorted them into boxes depending on type. So in this one, for example, we've got broken wall sections, and in this one we've got doors, walls, and so on, that are completely intact. So it's easy to find what I need. I've got a ton of other boxes on the other side of the room with all the rest of it in as well. I haven't even finished sorting it all yet. But this is the start, and I'm thinking it's going to be pretty tasty. So the next thing I need to do is cut the foam to shape, and then start erecting this monstrosity around the outside of it. I don't think it's going to take a huge amount of time to put it together, actually. It's probably going to take a decent while to paint, because I'm going to have to do a lot of dry brushing on all of these floor sections. And like I said, I've got lots of wall left over at the end, so I'll be able to build more after that. When I initially sketched out these lines into the foam, I was planning on doing 2 stories, but since I've decided to start with one, I may revise these lines so I have to do less cutting and bring them in twice as far so I'm not taking from both sides, if that makes sense. And before I go, I'll just show you quickly these ribs that I painted recently. I may do a full video on these, but there's just a sneak peek for you.